Hey, I'm Possible Tribe. It's me, Ladondra, and I am so incredibly excited. I have one of my Woke Insider members here today with me, and we're going to be talking about where faith, content, and creativity collide, and how, what that means to you, and how this is really going to relate to you is that you can really connect to this. So, if you are a mother, you are a creative entrepreneur, or you're just a creative just in any aspect, like you feel like you just was born to create, MaKayla is going to be your girl to listen to today, because she's just a phenomenal woman who loves God, who loves her family, and who loves to create. And so we're going to talk about that as I interview MaKayla. I'm really, really excited. So for those of you who doesn't know like what woke, because I'm talking to you like, you know what woke is. So woke is Women Operating Kingdom Enterprises. And I really feel like MaKayla is a woman who is operating a kingdom enterprise. Like how she connects faith and content and creativity, and she bring all three of those together. It's incredible. And so without further ado, I'm going to get ready to bring her on, but let me do one more thing. I want to say one more thing about this interview. So we're in a time to where entrepreneurs are, with it's the holiday season, right? And so with the holiday season, it comes with a lot of, purchases and just all these many things. And so with our small business owners, like I want to elevate our small business owners, because there's a lot of noise out there, and a lot of the small business owners, they don't get any recognition for the amazing things that they are doing. And I really feel like that it's not, I really feel like it's factual that our small business owners, they are the backbone of our business. They're the backbone of our nation. And so, MaKayla is a entrepreneur who is doing great things in the marketplace. And that's why I wanted to have her on, because she does have a heart of service, and she has a beautiful spirit and a beautiful personality. And so without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring her on. Hey, MaKayla.
Hello, and everyone else that is tuned in on this lovely Friday. I'm glad that it's the weekend. So, whoop, whoop, to the weekend.
Yes, yes. MaKayla, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why am I saying this? Where faith, content, and creativity meets.
Yes, so my name is MaKayla Harris, as you see here, and my brand that I am growing, that actually started this year, which God totally just led me this way, as a stay at home mother. So my brand is Make MaKayla, and the whole point of it is where faith, content, and creativity collide, and a lot of that was inspired by my daughter and my postpartum recovery. So Make MaKayla was just stuff I was doodling around in, and I made a book for my daughter, which we'll talk more about that. And then I just thought about over the years how I had, before I became a stay-at-home mother, how all the things that I used to do and how I create, and it just all kind of came together. So that's where faith, content, and creativity collide, because I am a woman of faith, and I love God, and I love His people. And so this is a time where I can still connect with my creative side while I am home caring for my daughter, and also connecting other mothers with me, and as we can just journey through this together. So, and we're going to talk more about that. So that's Making MaKayla.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that, because a lot of times, MaKayla, when we as mothers, we have our newborn child, whatever the case is we kind of lose ourselves. But you turn things around during your time, and when you were going through that postpartum depression, and that's when you started to wake up, and your creativity was inspired again. Can you tell us like a little bit about like what that looked like for you? Like, how did you really wake up, and what were you going through at the time of that?
Yeah, so there's as you talk about, like, a lot of mothers go through that postpartum phase where, postpartum depression. And so for me, I believe I had more of the postpartum blues, they call it. And so with the postpartum blues, you get anxious, you get all those things. And so It was my one of my prayers was that I didn't fall into that deep postpartum depression that mothers go through,
Mhm.
because I went through that through my postnatal. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, and so that was my prayer. Like the postpartum blues is real. Your body is changing and all those things, and so before I'm like, God, I don't want to fall into that. I want to trust you in this postpartum process. And although it's going to like come with those blues and your body's changing. And so in that, I just, one day, I was just, I was creating things on so my husband had bought me an iPad,
Yeah.
um, so that I can do some, creating postpartum. He knew that was, I was doing on his old little tablet, and he was kind of like, "Oh, my wife needs something different." So he invested in me an iPad, and so I just started doing around there, started getting all these apps, and I just made a Instagram page, and it was more so just doing scriptures and everything, and like just kind of sharing my experience through, just through doodling on my Procreate with my iPad pen. And so one day I just was like, I just got into this app and I started to develop this book for my daughter Simone. And so the book just laid out her name, Simone, and like it was just fun. And so I had got it printed and then I had just shared it, and then people were like, I want one of those. And I was like, whoa. So it just kind of turned to a thing where it clicked. And my husband was just like, why don't you start with that? Like making like books for babies, for toddlers. And so that's where all that had started. So this was actually the first book that I had did Simone Learns Colors, and then from there actually changed the whole platform so it can be able to be accessible for other parents to be able to purchase it. So that's kind of where it all stemmed from, like, just trying to get ahead of that deep, postpartum depression that happens, because I was warned about these things before. And so I was just like, I know I'm feeling some blues, but God, like I don't want to go through that deep process. So kind of got busy with doing that to inspire me to just, just continue to be. So yeah.
Yeah, and what I love about your story, MaKayla, is that you when you were going through that season, instead of going drowning in it and becoming depressed, like you use that moment to become inspired, and you use that moment to become more connected with Christ through the use of your natural gifts. Your natural gifting is like to create and things, and so you took that time to just go a little bit deeper, and then from there then you were able to create something that has it's not only it inspired you and create like bringing learning to life for you and your daughter, but now it's starting to help other mothers to bring life, and grandparents and dads
Yeah.
and stuff, to bring learning to life with their children. And so, I know that you do things like blogging, and, to help to with the journey, help other people to get through the journey of motherhood, or the journey of some of the issues that they're going through, because it's a lot to handle, being a entrepreneur, being a new mommy, and then how long you been married?
So I've been married for 3 years. So we're in
So
our
you're still
journey.
fairly new there as well.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot going on. And so how do you find balance with all of that?
So first and foremost, always have to ask God for my daily bread.
Mm,
And so sometimes I need a few more slices. I'm like, all right, God,
yes.
I need a few more slices for this daily bread. And so how I balance that is actually a lot of this helps with, so LaDondra, I'm in her woke insiders group. And so a lot of that balancing, it helps to be able to one, have that sister group to, a lot of times, through postpartum, like moms go through this lonely journey, and you have those lonely moments, but it has helped to have that connection with the sister group. But then also just looking at like what's priority. So I know that
Yeah.
I'm making these books, and I know that I'm, creating content and writing blogs, but I also have to remember that I have to take care of myself. And
Yeah.
so sometimes we can get that, we sometimes we can like feel like we're juggling all that. And so sometimes the way I have to prioritize is I have to take a step back, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed or feeling myself getting overwhelmed and saying, okay, what's important. I love to encourage mothers and all these things, but how do I stay encouraged? And
Yes.
as I am a stay-at-home mom, so of course I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of I do a lot of journaling. I do journaling, like praying through that, and then asking God to order my steps. And so because it really is a crazy thing. Like I just have to wake up and say, God, order my steps for today. And of course,
Yes.
you have those things that you may have a list of things that you need to take care of, and then I just have to remember, like, if that does not get done, in looking at, like, because it's I'm still learning, like, how to prioritize all of this. I'm only 6 months in
Yeah.
postpartum, on top of being married, and so of course, family is always, after God. Of course, family is first, and so well, take care of yourself and then be able to take care of your family. And
Yes.
so that's I'm still learning those things, but it has I'm learning what is helping. And the biggest thing is knowing what's priority, and then letting all those other things fall in place. So you can have the longest list, but making sure that that list is in order so that you
Yeah.
don't get overwhelmed. So that's what helps me when I'm talking about balancing and just keeping things, what is priority. um
And
yeah.
see, what I love about what you just said, MaKayla, is it's not really a balancing act. Because like if we try to hold everything at the same time, then everything is going to fall. But what you said is that I prioritize, and not only that, I prioritize according to the daily bread that I feel like God is wants me to have for that particular day. And then I think it's even more important to have grace on yourself for the day as well, because with our current culture, it tells us to work, 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 be more, do more, all the things. And so we try to be this perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect entrepreneur, perfect. And so before we know it, we're like overwhelmed, and it's like we're underperforming in our business, and we're not doing anything well. We're not mothering well, wifing well. I made up
Yeah.
the word. And so and so it all matters. And so I know that we've had some conversations about that, about having that, giving ourselves some grace in our businesses and stuff, because we don't have to do things the world's way. God has a better way for things. What I know that you have a mission, that God has given you a mission and a vision to help mothers to build a kingdom, like with kingdom. How do I want to say this, MaKayla? You give it. You know where I'm going with
Yeah.
the kingdom relationship building with mother, between child and things like that, raising your child according to God's standard. Tell me a little bit about that vision.
Yeah, so actually this is a timely question because, and I'll tell you why in a second. But so my perspective of it's, well, I wouldn't say it's no secret to a lot of our family that my daughter is what me and my husband desire. And so we desire, we pray for this baby and all those things. And so in that I knew, like, in my mind, well before I even got pregnant, God started to place motherhood in my heart, and I started to read blogs. I started to like like Christian mothers, like blogs and things like that, and it just was like pressed on me. And so I believe that that's why I'm in this journey right now. Why I just saw the opportunity. You talk about being fruitful, multiply. So, but I
Yes,
saw the opportunity to be able to there's a lot of mothers, there's a lot of parents, and just an opportunity to be the light for families that are looking for hope. And of course this is what we desire, but now that I'm in it, I see, just in being a child care worker and all those things before I was a mother, I see what children are yearning for. They're yearning for that love, they're yearning for that touch, they're yearning for all that. So God is showing me those things through even my daughter. Not to say that I always have it right, but through His Word,
yes,
He's showing me those things. And so you have mothers who, like, they're like, I know that I love my baby, but there's just something that, like, there's something that just does not feel complete with my family. And just be able to show that, like, that Christ can reign in that, and still, like, even through the toughest days, the most challenging days, like, Christ can still reign through that and help you through. Like this week was a buffer for me. It was a challenge for me. And so even when those challenges occur, how do you press on? And
Mm,
so you're able to do that through his word and through, other mothers who say, hey, like I have this thing. Can you pray with me? Can you, through those things? And so I actually right now, so Risen Motherhood is a ministry that I just found a couple months ago, and they have this book that came out called Risen Motherhood. And so in that book, and as I'm doing, like, even through doing the books and blogging about motherhood, I know that it's being able to connect with mother, even women who were mothers before me. It's bringing a deeper connection because we can
yeah.
relate to so many things. I can ask them things about their postpartum journey and like, how do I get through this? So I bought this book called Risen Motherhood, and it's a gospel, a book, a gospel of hope for mothers. And I
Mhm.
put it on my story, and say, hey, if anyone wants to read with me. And so I have I think 4 or 5 mothers who are going to be going through this book, Risen Motherhood, just for simply putting it on my story, saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, it has deep questions about just motherhood, but gospel led, motherhood, even when things get overwhelming." And so I'm excited about that, as well, because it's going to also help me to learn what others mothers are doing, and what and them hearing from me, and then how we can cultivate, this, raising kingdom families. And so with this book that we're going to be able to be reading together, it's just to know that, like, hey, like, yes, we're mothering, but like it's so much bigger than that. Like we get to be the example, we get to be the light for other mothers that are looking for hope. So that's where my season is right now. So I know, like, on my socials, I share a lot about family and motherhood and stuff because that's just where I am. That's where God has me. And so yeah, so that's
Well, I love that God has you on a journey of helping to raise up kingdom families, because in a time to where the enemy is attacking families, we need someone to be standing in the gap. We need people like you to be standing in the gap to bring in, content and bringing in community and all the things that we need so that we can stand against the strategies of the enemy. And it does take community. It does take being intentional with what you're reading, who you're connecting with, how you're showing up and praying, and all the things. And so, what I wanted to say is that, you're really demonstrating how faith and content meet, how they collide by what you just shared. But when you put that out there on Instagram and you was like, hey, this is where I'm at, this is my journey, you were authentic, you were real, this is where I'm at, this is my journey, who wants to read with me? Now you're starting to not only build community, but then also, like, this is, y'all are building your faith together on a journey. And so, that, I think that's everything, because we need that community to help us to get past some things, because it's when we get alone, that's when the enemy shows up and attack us the most. So kudos to you on that. Can you share a little bit about your book? So where you're bringing learning to life, right? And
yes.
so how you're bringing learning to life right now in this season, not only is through your blogging, because you got to help mamas. We don't
Hmm.
want to leave us mamas out, because we got to help, we got to empower ourselves, but then also you're helping the children. And so
Yeah.
you're bringing learning to life with the children. And so how are you doing that, MaKayla?
Yeah, so actually, I brought two of my books so that you guys can see. So this is one of the examples of my custom book of colors, and so one of the ways that I'm being able to bring learning to life is when I made the first book. When I made the first book, it was just strictly dedicated to Simone. But through talking to my husband, he was just like, hey, you know how kids learn about primary and secondary colors? And I was like, yeah. So then that's what connect to be able to have children where mothers, fathers, grandparents can customize their infant, their toddler, and with their name on it and their name on the dress or the shirt, that is throughout the book. And so my custom book of colors is filled with primary and secondary colors. And so throughout the book, it just talks about R stands for red, and then but it has a picture of the infant in the toilet, and they see their name, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And then they, as they are, if they are that age, like I think about my niece and my nephew, like they were so excited when they saw Simone's book. They said, "Titi, how'd you do that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh gosh, I got to make sure that I get them some books because they were just excited about that." And so, but if for my daughter, who is almost 7 months, she can have this as a keepsake and also keep learning through it because right now she's in that mindset where she's, sensory and, she's starting to like respond to how we're talking to her in bright pictures. So it works for as young as an infant all the way up to a toddler. And so I have my custom book of colors for primary colors, and then I have the number book.
Hmm.
And that was also inspired by because my niece and my nephews are dear to me, but I know that they're a little more further because they're a little older. So the numbers book, especially for my was inspired because I get to talk to some mothers. I'm like, what are your kids working on? Or I talk to my sister, what is Kylan working on? And so that's where I have the number book. So there's the primary, secondary, where they can learn about that, and then also through the numbers book. And
Hmm.
again, like they get to see themselves with their name on it, and be able to go through a book and keep it as a keepsake. So that was my inspiration of bringing that learning to life. And when I made the first book, I was just using clip art. And my husband said, I bet you can make your own characters. I said, really? And
Yeah.
so that's where I started to learn how to bring shapes together and the natural hair, because my daughter has natural hair and all those things. So that's what makes it so fun when they can go and customize it themselves, keep it as a keepsake, as well as bringing bonding to dad and baby, mom and baby, grandparent and baby. Like my mother has read one of my books to Simone, and she just grabs at the page. I literally have to say, I literally have to attend to her because she will rip the book. That's how
Yeah.
that's how colorful the the book of colors is. So that was my inspiration of bringing learning to life in a way that it's not on the market that way, And
Yeah.
so I have custom books from other companies, but this was a different spin as far as like on their level where they're
Yeah.
actually able to like your reds, your blues, all those things. And so, yeah, so that's what inspiration was before the bringing learning to life is be able
Well,
to
I love
provide
that.
that for others.
Because see, yeah, I think you can connect with things a little deeper when it's you can see yourself on the pages. And so I think that that's powerful that you are literally customizing these books to where it could be the skin color, you customize skin to color, you customize the hair texture. What else do you customize on those books?
So they can choose their eye color,
Mm-hmm.
skin, their hair, and then their hair tone. And yeah, I believe like yeah, skin, eyes, hair, and then they can change the color of their hair and their eyes.
Yes.
So they can go pick that on the site.
So, if somebody is wanting to, for this Christmas holiday season, they are wanting to bring that learning to life to their grandchild, to their child, or their neighbor's child, then how could they order a book, their own customized book for that specific child?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on my website is pretty easy. So it's my name. So it's makeitmakayla.com is where all my customized books are. And if you really want to guarantee that you get it like by Christmas, I would advise you to order like today
Yeah.
or this weekend, because it does, since it is customized, it does take some time, making it and getting it here to get to you. So you can go on my site, again, makeitmakayla.com, as well as if you are just wanting to connect with me, through my socials and on my Instagram and Facebook to see just the fun stuff that I put that you may not find on my website. also it's Making MaKayla on my Facebook and my Instagram. And so yeah, so if you're looking for something, or even in the new year, a lot of children are at home right now. So this is just a great opportunity. I'm excited because all of my nephews and my niece plus Simone are all going to have their own customized book by the time Christmas comes. So grandma invested in them to get them some learning to life books. And so I'm excited about that. But that can also be some children in your family, whether you have niece, nephews. It's not just for moms or dads who can go on the website, but anyone can go on. And so maybe you have a neighbor. And so especially for children who may not enjoy reading, this
Hmm.
can be a way that they're like, but I see myself, and that makes it more exciting for
Yeah,
them if they're at that age. They're like, I don't really want to read, but if they see themselves, this can encourage them to say like, hey,
absolutely.
you're bright, you're smart, you can do this, and then they see themselves. So
I agree with that. And she also has some really cool coloring sheets that when you go and you visit her website that you can get as well. Are those available for purchase
yes.
now?
So right now I have I actually have coloring sheets that for the infants that are coloring, but I have free coloring sheets for mothers as well. So if you go on my site, they are called Color and Pray worksheets. So you're able to grab some color pencils, some crayons, turn on to worship music, and while your child is doing whatever, it's a way that because as we get older, like we start to lose that childlike mindset. We're just like,
Yeah.
well, I'm older now. Like we don't really color, but like I've had moms download and just like, wow, like just turn on some worship music, and it has stuff like give yourself grace, and it has a prayer that you can color as well. And so you can do that. You can print some off for your kids, or you can go and get them their own coloring sheets that go along with the book. So the numbers or the colors, the primary colors as well. So and then you can get that with the kit. So there's a couple options that if you go on my shop, you'll be able to see all those things there. So
Okay, well, I love that because then again, that's bringing things back home to like if you're going through something, you need to be inspired, then you can just step back and turn on your creative brain and then allow the Holy Spirit to move through you as He fill you up and give you what you need in the moment that you are needing it. So y'all go visit makeitmakayla.com. You can order your own custom book for your infant in your life or in your friend's life or for your toddlers. You can also get those a bundle package where there is the coloring book, there's stickers, there's all kind of goodies there. Or you can also just go and just join the community because she's always doing really cool things. So like if you opt into her list, then you will be informed on like what kind of blogs that she's putting out, any other content that's going to build you up on your motherhood journey and raising those kingdom style families. Then she's very real, raw, and authentic with her journey. And so if that's what you're needing somebody that you can connect with that's real, raw, and relatable, then make sure that you check it out at makeitmakayla.com. MaKayla, thank you so much for taking time to interview.
thank you for interviewing me. It's fun,
Yeah,
even in the virtual world.
yes
So
it
moms,
is.
we can connect, moms.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, thank you for your time, and y'all, thank you for joining in. Like, we appreciate your comments. We appreciate everything that you are saying, the shout outs and the good mornings, and all the love that you have given us during this interview. If you know a family that could benefit from this, then definitely, or you know a mother that could benefit from it, share it with her, and so that she can be inspired and she can know how to connect with someone who's doing this type of work. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a phenomenal day, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.